All right, what's up, everybody? This is Henry Finn with the Videography Academy podcast, YouTube, whatever it is, wherever you're finding this. I am happy to be here today with Mike. He is the owner of Rezi Media, which produces video marketing funnels for small businesses and established professionals. He's self-taught. He produced content for pro athletes and influencers. You can see it on his website, some cool stuff there. Like myself, he taught himself how to film and edit and in college, and then basically now is doing it full-time for himself and has his own company, which is exactly the type of person you want to be if you're not there yet, because being living your dream is always a fun thing. But anyways, I will let you. Thank you for coming on. Appreciate it.
Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, and I'll let you introduce yourself a little bit to start off. Just tell us your story a little bit. Like, how did you get started? Why? And where are you now?
Yeah, no, and whenever someone says, who are you, it's always tough to, and I'm sure you get this, to like put a title on it, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm a creator, professional, whatever you want to say, but how I got started, I'm originally from Half Moon Bay, California, about 30 minutes south of San Francisco. Went to school in the city for high school, and then went to college over in Iowa, of all places. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So grew up here on the coast side, ended up in the Midwest.
Yeah.
Quite the culture shock.
Yeah, I bet.
It was definitely, when I look back on it, it was definitely good to kind of step out of, the bubble that you're always in and just kind of get a newfound perspective.
For sure.
So how'd I get started? In college, I was looking for a work study, and the sports marketing position was open, and they needed some video work, and I had zero experience, zero background. Yeah. And they handed me this like handheld camcorder. Yeah. I'm just like, okay, what the heck do I do? Start creating something, and I hope no one ever sees those videos.
Yeah. We all have those videos.
We all have those, but I got hooked. I got hooked on it, and just wanted to start teaching myself. And YouTube was a great resource, and that's really where it all started. I can keep building on that, but
sure.
About 3 years into college, I was like, okay. They have the resources. They have a few DSLR cameras. I'm going to start teaching myself how to use, it was like a Canon T3i, I think it was, or 50D or 60D. And, we started learning a little bit. Yeah, one of those, learning about the exposure triangle and all that. And just trying to film anything I really could. And over time, when I think back to it, the thing that really like spawned this whole thing for me was a friend of mine. He actually, was playing football over in college, and he fractured his vertebrae and was paralyzed. And he was in the dorm room I was living in, and he basically, the whole school knew about it, and he had like a 3% chance of ever moving anything below his neck. He sees that I'm doing stuff for fun, like through video, and he's getting progressively better at what he's doing. And he wants to create a nonprofit to help people in similar situations with spinal cord injuries. And he sees me like doing this stuff for fun. He says, hey, do you want to create content around helping out with my nonprofit? And it was kind of there where I was like, okay, let's, it started to get a little more serious. Like, you can create videos that actually move people, videos that actually create impact, videos that can elevate an organization. And, his inspiration, his motivation into doing things is like, it's addicting. So 5 years later, he says he's going to walk across the stage, and he does. And he calls me over. I'm living in California at the time. He says, "Can you film it?"
Yeah.
Zero coverage, just roll over. I'm on I'm on my gimbal, the 5D Mark III, and just film him walk across the stage. And ABC, NBC, everyone picks it up, and like he's now has a Netflix documentary coming out. So
wow.
Long story short, just recognizing the power of video. Is and how it impacts and moves people and elevates stories that deserve to be told was kind of how I got into that.
Nice. So what do you think makes a video powerful? What makes it so turn into a bigger thing?
No, I think it's when you tap into something that a lot of people are kind of craving. So it has to be, I guess, interesting, but also impactful, right? So if someone can actually can watch something and then feel moved to act, or feel like mobilized. I think that's the biggest thing in any piece of content. You know, so yeah, I think yeah, that's, especially us as creators, you know, we kind of have a duty to push that stuff out, I think.
Yeah, that's true. I think that's a very good point. You know, I think as a creator, you're free to make whatever content you want. But if you're conscious about what you're doing, then you kind of get to make a decision if you want to make positive or negative content, you know? So now you got your own business, and when you say, you're doing video marketing funnels and whatnot, can you help explain that to people more, what you mean by that?
Yeah, I guess backtracking a little bit.
Sure.
I was creating a lot of videos in the beginning, and just purely just creating videos and saying, hey, here you go, and walking away. And I didn't really like that, cross your fingers approach. Like, hopefully it does well.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, okay, how can I get a larger impact and a tangible ROI for, my clients, where they're never going to be discouraged. It's way more strategic. We really understand what the brand values are and what the company represents and how it helps impact their clients. And their clients are being transformed by their service. So, it's just a way, in my eyes, it's like, it's got to be the right fit, number one, and I got to, there's a part of you as a creator, I feel like, in anything that you do, that is that you're attached to, right? Something that you want to amplify and you're like emotionally involved with. So a lot of these established professionals that I reach out to, I can learn something from them as well. And that's something where I'm like, this is cool, this is great, and I can, the testimonials that we gather from your clients are inspiring.
Yeah.
For me also.
Yeah.
So basically in Facebook, we'll create remarketing audiences and build out sequences where top of funnel stuff, generates the awareness. Anyone that engages with that content is further taken down a funnel to a tangible business result and objective. And this is a recent switch in my business, to be honest with you. We've been doing this for about 3 months and started implementing it about 3 months ago.
Nice. And so how did you make that leap, or what when was that kind of added to your dimensions?
Yeah, it started from my first couple clients, actually. I personally, my clients are my friends. Like, honestly, my clients are my friends. And, I learned from the CEOs, I learned from the team, I learned from how the companies are being run. And it was a basketball academy I was doing some work with, and they were saying, hey, let's highlight this program, let's highlight what we do, and that's it, right? But the real question is, what are your goals? Do you want to attract more people, or is it about customer acquisition, or is it about retaining and providing content that nurtures your current audience? So that when that question is like being answered and asked, really, it's like, what are your goals and how can I help you? And that's when I was like, okay, I'm going to, kind of teach myself, as I did with video, how to build out marketing funnels and just implement it through content. Because I'm kind of a fan of, I guess I'm kind of weird in this way, but I don't know, but not just being the creative and kind of thinking more so in the practical standpoint of how to leverage creative.
Yeah.
And
like a marketer.
Yeah. Exactly.
You're a storyteller and a marketer. Those are different things, because sometimes when people have too much marketing hat on, they forget about story,
Exactly.
So what, just so for, I guess, the beginners out there who are still not sure, what we're talking about, I think what we're talking about is how, like, you can make a video for somebody and you don't know what's going to happen with it. You can't even guess or guarantee what kind of views it'll get or what the ROI is or any of that, because you don't even know to think about it. You're just trying to get a video done for them, right? And you're kind of letting the client tell you what kind of video they want, and then it's just up to you to do it. But the next level, which is really the level you need to get to be, like, I think, a self-sufficient business in this day and age, is you need to add that marketing and at least the knowledge of what are the different types of marketing out there? How does it work with video, and how does it work with the client's campaign, so that when they implement the video, there's other pieces. Even if you don't have to manage it, you could say, well, hey, your social media manager or your whoever it is needs to put this this video on blah blah. And then so
exactly.
This is what Mike is talking about. And so for you, what kind of ROIs do you, or what are some examples of ROIs that you have to sell your clients on, depending on your niche or whatever?
Definitely. So for the Basketball Academy, for example, we'll create a bunch of awareness campaigns for an upcoming camp, right? And build out remarketing audiences based on engagement. So let's say somebody who is a Warriors fan, who is a parent, because they're the ones that are taking money out of their pocket, is looking for a safe, fun, energetic environment that is, they feel great that their kid's going to transform from the camp. They feel great that the kid's going to be safe. So in the awareness campaign, we'll create a bunch of content around maybe the coaches, and highlighting what it is about why they are there, why they're coaching, why they love hoop, right? And then now we're going to get into here's the logistical, like here's the technical thing, like the square format videos on social, adding captions, and building out and enhancing that engagement, because if someone's watching 95% or 75% of that content, that's some pretty high intent. That's a warm audience. So we'll create pools of people who have watched that much content, and then create more content for that pool. I don't know how deep.
No, that's great. We could do a whole course on just that. But for, let's say, for a beginner, how would you recommend that they maybe find partners or work with other people so that they could have more dimensions to their business and not have to, and take more time to learn it,
No, exactly. So I guess I kind of went the unconventional route and just
did it yourself.
Okay. So I literally didn't talk to anyone for a good amount of time, and I was just locked in, just watching tutorials. And when I started to see the remarketing audiences grow, and then actually create a lead ad, and then see it, you kind of get addicted, right? So for video, even, you're self-taught, I'm self-taught, and anyone that's listening, if you're just getting started, when you make something happen, when you go start from nothing, and then you see an actual result and outcome and output, you get hooked. So
true.
That being said, though, I'm not going to sit here and ask I know everything, because I'm going to constantly try to gather more knowledge and information to optimize and iterate. So I reached out to a few marketing companies that are experts and do this, and they have a lot of courses, and I invested. I put in some money and scheduled a few coaching calls, and also reached out to people within my current network on LinkedIn and got a few meetings with them, and just tried to provide some value for them up front by saying, hey, look, this is some things I've learned through video. Are you interested in learning about how to create it? And then they would in turn respond with some digital marketing strategies, and it's just good conversation, because people are out to share. If you ask.
Yeah, I love that. And in this day and age, I think people are much more hardwired for that even if you look at YouTube or whatever stars, so much collaboration going on, and the communities make each other successful. But
just like what you guys are doing.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to do. I mean, I think what you said is really important, in the sense of, first of all, the mentality of just being really open and always trying to learn. I think you got to be super hungry for just knowledge. Also, because it is a high to learn all this new stuff and then see it actually work. It's it changes the way you look at things and what you think you can do. But can I add something? Go ahead.
I worked a couple of full-time jobs before I went all in. And one thing that I had to break for myself was there's just the fact that there's so much more out there that you don't know. So don't hold on so much to what you do know. And so, once I kind of made that, I guess, a realization, it kind of opened up the door. You kind of humble yourself a little bit. And then so just want to add that.
I think if once you realize how much you don't know, you can't help but be humbled, because
Yeah.
You just realize how tiny you are compared to everything else, and you know.
That's a fact. That's exactly a fact. And at the same time, it's like, that's inspiring, you know?
Yeah, it is exactly. It's
Yeah.
funny how it makes you feel both at the same time. I think
Duality. Yeah.
you know, and another good thing you said is about providing value first. And for me, I think I'm pushing a lot about mentality with the people I'm trying to teach, because the mentality is actually what makes you successful faster or successful at all, you know. And I think providing value is a concept that, you know, a lot of people need to understand, that anytime you approach any person that is not your friend or family member or somebody you already know, every other person in this world, when you approach them, if you don't have something to offer, you know, coming from some sort of genuine place, hopefully, you know, in the sense of like, what value can you really help them? Because they're not going to give you the time of day otherwise, you know, because look at a bum.
Exactly.
People won't even give $1 to a homeless person on the street. So think about the fact that you're that bum with some other person with millions of dollars, you know. It's like you have to come with value, and that's where the money will go.
That's so true, man. Like, I can't, like, I've done a lot for free in the beginning, and that has translated into a lot of how I live my business.
Yeah.
And offering that value up front. There's a great book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. That is just an absolute game changer. It really forces you to empathize and act in terms of the other person, and think from the perspective of their their hat. So
right. Dope. So then, you know, in your business right now, what type of clients do you typically help, and where are you finding them and stuff?
Yeah, so I have a couple retainer clients, so we're still pretty early, that are kind of our anchor clients. And I still do one-off work. You know, I still do one-off work as a independent freelancer. But I also have people who I've hired as contractors to implement content online for our retainers. So I'm in a period right now where it's like, I'm wearing multiple hats, and the business right now is still establishing itself.
Yeah.
And my number one goal right now is creating game changer case studies that show awesome results for the clients that we're currently helping, and just bring that with us to future pitches. So as far as specific niche, you know, for Rezi Media, the funnels, it's really an established professional or established business that has this mentality of growth. And right now it's a real estate agent group, sports basketball academy, and then also a law firm. So it's kind of across the board right now.
Sure. I mean, there's so many different niches that can pay for services regularly, but how do you assess if a company is healthy enough, or the type of company you want to try and get work with, you know?
Yeah. So I first ended up getting in contact with them through a referral who I did a one-off project with. And then it formulated into this retainer model where it's like, it starts with education, you know, and then I think when people recognize that you truly care about their success and you truly want to share what you're learning, and not just be so pitchy all the time, just curious about, hey, you know, what are your goals, and you know, like, you know, how are your clients doing, you know, just, it's hard to explain in a formulaic way.
That's what I'm trying to figure out myself, is how to get the sales process. What you said is really key, though, is not being pitchy. I think for me, it's like you have to like earnestly spend the first time you have with the client getting to know them as well as possible, because even just for the sake of understanding if they're even a realistic client, because sometimes they might have an idea that costs $100,000 and they want to pay like $5,000 for it, and you know, so that's where the education comes in. You know, definitely starting with education and learning. And then I guess, so what is your sales process like in terms of how would you chunk it out into your stages?
So if I get inbound, I'll just follow up with a few email questions just to make sure that, you know, it's the right fit and they kind of understand what they want. So it's not like, hey, I got an idea for a video, can you do it? You know, just asking the simple questions of like, what are the goals that you have? What do you want for this video? Basically, is it a brand video? So just taking them through that and then having a meeting with them direct. And then for outbound, just sending out I've been using LinkedIn a ton.
Yeah.
So I've just been sending out a bunch of emails and messages with just example work that might be relevant. So it's really just, the goal is just to get that meeting.
Yeah.
And then once you get that meeting, hear them out, and understand what it is that they want and their overall intent for thinking about using video.
Right. Dope. So then what are some of your favorite projects so far?
So favorite project, I mean, I would have to go back to, I don't know, I can't really pick one, to be honest. Like, even though it's like doing it for the money, like there's still part of me that like I'm really invested into why they're doing what they're doing.
Sure.
So there's alignment there with, like even, so like, I mean, we just did one with the golf links, the golf course out here. And it was like talking with the employees where I'm just like, oh man, every single person here loves the course. They play on it themselves.
Yeah.
What is it about the course that you guys enjoy? And they said, the different characteristics of each course. So I don't know. It's just like there's a part of me inside of, I guess, each project, but that's also not scalable. So
that is true. Yeah. There's but that's okay for now. I mean, it's, I kind of find myself in a similar situation a lot of times. And for me, I noticed if it's like a certain type of job, where even if, let's say, my personal interest is low, like it's just a quick job or whatever, I always think about it in terms of just the camera technique and storytelling, like how I could apply it to like a film later on or something, like getting value out of it no matter what.
I think I'm really happy you brought this up because I think everything compounds. Like I
agree.
I'm just getting started, like that's kind of the way I feel it. And I'm sure you do too. Like, and a lot of people listening, if you feel like you're just getting started, well, that's absolutely normal. Yeah. It's about, I think Carol Dweck wrote this, the growth mindset, just constantly thinking about growth and how any project can attribute to a future success. Every single experience, every single moment you have is an opportunity to learn. So, there's a project I did. And there's a project I did with a friend of mine. She's a full-time painter, artist. It's just a personal project. I was just curious what she was doing. And, that's one of my favorite things too, when I see other people pursuing something that they want to be doing and just kind of sharing that passion through, our lens.
Dope. Now, I feel like from the work I checked on your website, you managed to do a lot of good stuff in a short time, and you're doing all the things, right? You got like the different types of video and you're doing drones stuff. What was your stages of your learning in terms of the technical part? Like how did you go from level to level?
Oh man. Well, I started with that camcorder.
Yeah.
And, I remember back to those very first meetings when I was in that video marketing work study in college.
Yeah.
And I just remember sitting there. It was like a team of 3 of us. None of us had background in video. The director didn't have background in video. But we were watching these videos from like Miami University and all these other sports schools. And they're like, yeah, let's do this. Yeah. And it's just like the skill level, it's a creative gap, I think is what it's called. But where, you have this vision of what you want to do,
yep, but
you're right here.
Yeah.
And I still honestly still feel like that. But
of course, yeah.
And so, the camcorder, and then learned a little bit of DSLR at school. I injured myself playing basketball out there. I went to Iowa, middle of nowhere, to play D3 hoops. And when I injured myself, I was like, all right, let me just learn a little bit more about editing. So, ended up creating a video series for the football team, 13 episodes with a T3i Rebel and a Rode Video Mic Pro. That's it. And it's on there somewhere. It's out there.
Nice.
And during that process, it's like, I was really trying to think about from perspective of, how do we who's our audience? Mm-hmm. And it was in that process where I was like, okay, is this going to be relevant to the donors? Is this going to be relevant to parents? Is this going to be relevant to the players? Are they going to feel excited about what they're doing by watching this? Mm-hmm. So I think as it kind of grew, all these questions started popping in my head, and it kind of creates a framework of like, this is a little bit about me, but more so about the people who are going to be impacted by it and the people involved. Mm-hmm. And that's when I would say went from T3i up to 5D Mark III, and I want to get a GH5. That's where I'm at.
Yeah.
I also after college, right, was interviewing for a bunch of jobs because everyone's doing that. Didn't get any full-time job, and stayed at the school to work more with the video marketing team because they saw I was using DSLRs and stuff. Uh-huh. And so right before I stayed there, I had like nothing. So I graduated with nothing to do. Like I was like, dang, I might have to live on my couch, my friend's couch, who's a senior.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I kind of like this video thing. And I hopped on Indiegogo.com and just created a fundraiser to raise $2,500 for a T3i Rebel and some other equipment and Final Cut and the laptop. And pushed that out, and I ended up raising $2,100.
Wow, nice.
And I was like,
that means
cool.
People like you. That's basically them just supporting your career.
No, seriously. And yeah, so without that, I don't think I'm going to be doing
dope.
this.
Yeah, I noticed a common theme in your thinking is thinking about others, and I like that. I think, that also is a way for people to wrap their head around marketing in a way that, so if they have any fear of sales or marketing being kind of slimy or kind of something unsavory that they don't want to deal with in their life, it's actually something that can bring a lot of joy in your life. It's connecting with people and learning from them is amazing. I mean, that was definitely one of the first perks I realized from videography is just the people you get in the room with and the situations and the things you learn, and it changes you, it gives you more options.
Oh my gosh. No, you're so right, man. I think from every single project, you not only get to make people look great and like amplify what they do, but like you learn from them also. I recently did something with Mason Plumley, who like he has this episode series called Founder Fridays, and he's also in a giving spirit, of wanting to connect his platform and his audience with these entrepreneurs that he knows. So it's just really cool to see the network you end up getting.
So then what are some of the common questions you ask a client when you're trying to get to know them?
First question is, tell me a little bit about your business. What is it that you do? What would your clients say about you guys is one of the things I like to say, from an established professional standpoint. Also, what are you, like, just really making sure I understand what their goals are. And also, I think the very first thing too is, what got you started? Like, how'd you get started in this? And I think from that point, it's like when I realized, okay, like I'm in, like I want to be part of this, and if you can feel, the fact that like there's a purpose and intention behind why they're doing what they're doing, that's something where it's like, okay, I'm in. And I first actually, I did wedding videos for a year and a half on the side.
Yeah, I started that.
Yeah, exactly. And I was doing that while I had my full-time job. And I think it was like, being in there, you're like, it's just kind of a one and done type situation. So, like you said earlier, you learn from every single experience. You have experiences you can lean on in the past to make sure that you don't go back to those, so you can move forward. So yeah, that's one of my biggest ones is, how'd you get started?
Yeah.
Why are you doing this? And and what is it about you that shows up every single day? And then what are your goals?
Yeah.
And then objectives.
Yeah, those are all the key questions to ask right there. If you get those down, then you can really figure out how to help somebody and also close the sale. You know?
Yeah, exactly. And then educating them a little bit too, trying to gauge if they understand, the pre-production, all the way to the post, and then also delivery, because if they're saying, I just want to create something for my website, I mean, yeah, you can do that, but have you thought about, distributing it on social? Do you have a good social presence?
Yeah.
What does your email list look like? Stuff like that.
Yeah, and those are great questions to ask, even if you don't know what to do about it. Because it lets the client know that you're thinking about the bigger picture for them, and even if you can't solve the problem for them in that area, they need to, and they trust you more because you're asking more important questions.
Yeah.
So then, can you just share with us your first paid gig, what that was, and what you learned from that?
I think my first paid gig was like $500 to do the nonprofit video for my buddy.
Yeah.
And I remember I was a senior in college.
Yeah.
Or no, junior in college, and he's like, "Hey man, here's a check for the foundation video you did."
Yeah.
I was like, "Wait, what? You can get paid for this?" Like, wait, you're paying me for this?
Yeah.
So I was going over to my college because I was living with my 5 teammates there.
Yeah.
I was just excited, super excited.
Yeah. That's a good amount when you're not expecting the money, That's a lot of money.
You can stretch that in Iowa.
Yeah, I was about to say, and in college, that's dope.
And yeah, so from there I was just like, oh, wait a minute, how this is not just a hobby. Yeah.
The wheels started turning.
Yeah. So I started taking it a little more seriously, started getting on YouTube and running into people like Chase Jarvis also. And all these other creative professionals who are
Chase Jarvis is good.
Yeah.
So I noticed one thing I liked about your statement is that it's very specific. You're not just saying I'm a videographer or a video producer or corporate blah blah. You're like, I produce video marketing funnels for the small business and established professionals, which is like a market. Can you just talk about the importance of kind of having your brand identity in terms of the direction you're going and who you're talking to and how people can get that?
Yeah, it's felt like a constant cycle, to be honest. I started about 5 years ago, just creating work.
Yeah.
Like I said, mentioned weddings. So I was doing a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
And then it's like, I think throughout that entire period, you start to recognize, one, what produces the best results and helps others, and then two, what you enjoy. And once I started to see, okay, this basketball academy is really getting some results here, and then this real estate group is interested in doing the same thing because they're aligned with growth. I was like, oh yeah, let me go all in. So when somebody interacts with you for the first time and you mention what you do, and then when that digital presence aligns with that, I think it goes back to what you said with trust. So you start creating that relationship there.
Cool. If you had to start your business from scratch all over, what would you do differently?
I wrote this down. I got a question here, or an answer here. So I'd follow up constantly. I used to think like you send one thing out and just cross your fingers.
Yeah.
And also try to think about what it is that you're really interested in and create more of that, and then build out, a trailer, with that work, and then reach out to people who are already in the space where you want to be and see if you can just help out. And just gather knowledge, in that industry. I'd also say that, the mentality thing's big, so like you have to set your own deadlines. You have to, like, every single day, like you got to do something.
Yeah. And
you can't just do stuff when you feel inspired. So, early on it's like, hey, I make videos, I'm a creative. No, you're a professional.
Yeah.
You are a professional, and it's about constantly growing and improving your skill set to help others, and always trying to iterate, and just make things better. And it starts to compound over time, and just growth happens. And yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I want to highlight that, is the mentality shift of going from, especially like if you're, let's say you studied just straight film and you're like an artist or something, then everything is like existential. Everything is like based on your emotions and how you feel in the moment. Like that was one of the big first lessons I had to learn about my mentality, is when you are working for somebody and they're paying you, they don't give an F about your emotions about stuff. It's just like,
so true.
if you go to a Starbucks, you don't actually care how happy the barista is with their life. You're like, just give me my coffee.
Yes.
And it's the same thing. So, when you become a videographer, a true videographer, and not just like, let's say a freelancer or something like that, you do have to take that next level mentality of being a business owner, that you're going to show up, you're going to do whatever you got to do to get the job done, because nobody else is going to do it for you. And that's just the simple fact.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I didn't study film. I went to business school, and
so you already had that mentality, though. You had a good building blocks for your foundation. I think there's a lot of artists that have to break through that, where they have this negative relationship with money, and they don't even know how to quantify it in their life.
No, exactly. I mean, and yeah, no, I think over time too, with experience, and just like what we said, like, it shows up when you think about that mindset shift of this is a profession. Yeah. It's fun. You get to help others, but this is a profession,
Yeah, totally. Have you have you ever had any clients that weren't good for you, where you're like, oh, I'm not going to work with this person?
Yeah. There's quite a few, actually. Where there's not a lot of alignment right away. And like I said, I think earlier, it's like you can lean on those experiences.
Yeah.
So a lot of these questions I mentioned beforehand of what to ask a client before I say yes came from me not asking those questions.
True.
And just hopping in and saying, yeah, I'll do it. And then, scope creep comes in, and boom, you're working extra hours. And that's, it's either you either get upset about that, or you look back to saying, I'm responsible for this, and how can I change my process in a way where that doesn't happen again? So yeah, there's been a few of those. A couple of wedding clients also.
Those ones can be tough. I got burnt out on weddings. I basically got traumatized from weddings. I just it was
yeah, exactly.
A lot of beautiful weddings too, but it's definitely a different world, But what was I gonna say? Oh, you mentioned something about the people that you don't talk. Oh, the questions that you didn't ask. Like, I think like people who ask the wrong questions in the beginning, they get the wrong partners. And and so when you find out that somebody is somebody they're not the right person, how do you let them know, without burning a bridge or making it seem like you're rejecting them,
Yeah, no. So we talked about positioning earlier, about like making sure we attract the right work. And honestly, my Instagram does not do a good job of that. So I'll get a few messages saying, hey, I got this thing coming up. Can you do it? And I'll just say I'm busy.
That's a good one.
I'll just say, hey, appreciate you reaching out, but if I know someone who can do it, then I'll just refer them. But hopefully it's not, for anyone listening, hopefully it's not too far along. We're in the middle of you've already started, that this feeling comes up. But yeah, that's usually what I'll say.
That's a good one. That's what I do too. Also, it's true, because I'm busy trying to make more money,
Yeah, exactly.
Because my time is valuable, you have to, you really have to value your time. I kind of messed up recently. I pulled a rookie mistake with a client that I kind of let them lead the storytelling, and it turned into this like B-roll, like scripted mess. And and then the worst part is I met with the CEO because I was doing the marketing person. So I met with the CEO to try and like course correct the whole project, and then found out that they were totally not aligned at all with what the project was supposed to be. And he wanted something, basically a commercial,
Oh, wow.
and so that, you lose money and time
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I
No.
should have. He was off on vacation when we closed the deal, so I never got to talk to him.
Yeah.
But I realized, man, I need to figure out how to be more
Yeah.
sure that the marketing person is aligned with what the guy who's actually writing the check,
No, exactly. So yeah, I had a something like that pop up as well for a real estate agent in the past. And yeah, it kind of turned into like, hey, be the just press the button, and create the content.
Yeah.
So that again ties back into the proactive approach of making sure that you get what you want.
So then, for a complete beginner, like let's say there's somebody that's just gotten started, like back where you were when you got your first $500 check, what actions can they actually take to get their first paying clients, like right now?
Yeah, I would think about what got you involved in the first place. To me, it just kind of turned into an addiction of seeing something, have an idea, and just kind of creating it, and then just seeing over time your own growth. Yeah. And then think about what already excites you. So for me, my buddy, he's my friend, and he's just a super motivational, inspiring dude. And he said he would pay me, but I didn't expect it, right? And it just, if it comes from a place where it's like you are emotionally invested, and then you create that work, and then you want to find more paid gigs in that space, package that in a way that you can reach out to someone similar and create a reel or something, or create just great work, and then reach out to somebody with that example and try to get a meeting saying, hey, I recently put this together. If you are interested in creating something similar, are you interested in talking or something like that?
Got it. And then one thing you talked about earlier about creating game changer case studies. What is that?
Yeah, exactly. So with the clients I have right now, my anchor clients that I'm doing work with, I want to package the work we're doing in a way that it makes sense for our prospect. So, what does that prospect care about? First of all, who's your audience? What type of work are you trying to attract? Well, once you got that defined, think in terms of what do they care about? Well, established professionals and business owners, they care about results, and they care about it in a way that is authentic to their brand and who they are just as individuals. So if you can put together like a case study, which I'm thinking about like blog post on my site, creating a blog post that says, hey, here's how the situation was before, and then when we started working together, this is where we arrived, and this is some of the things we did in between the before state to the after state, which is the result. So yeah, that would be my advice, actually, is create a lot of that.
And why is that important to you? How's that going to help your business?
Number one, it's confidence also in you, and then also confidence and trust in the prospect. So when you can walk up to anybody and say, hey, this is something I did for someone in the past who's in a similar niche, not a competitor maybe if it's in the contract, but this is what we did. Are you interested? And here are the results. Think about it in terms of their shoes. They're going to be like, oh, that's really cool. Yeah, I could use that.
Yeah. Dope. Let's see, what else? Any other advice you would give to beginners? Just there's a lot of people who are transitioning from things, or a lot of our listeners, or they're kind of just getting started, and
yeah.
Going back to that, what other advice might you have?
Yeah, when I was working at that my full-time job before I went all in on this, I would just make time to create and make time to start, and then be surrounded by people who are doing something similar. And I think that's incredibly important, if you are intentional about where you want to go and where you want to be and why, and there's people around you that aren't supporting that, then, you gotta move to other groups. You gotta find your tribe. And I think that's the biggest thing, is surround yourself with people who are going to propel your growth. And then also, make sure you're doing things when you don't feel like doing it. That's going to get you closer towards what you want. And that's the biggest thing as well, I think, because it's easy to be on your own and not feel inspired, but it's also easy to feel inspired when you're on your own and you remember why you're doing this and where you're working towards. So, there's little factors on both sides there.
Nice. That's true. Self-discipline is key. That is so hugely important for success in life in general. One thing you talked about, compounding. I think I want to emphasize that. I think your life compounds. The end of your life is just the result of where, all the things before that. And so, one of my big lessons was learning how you think about the little things is how you think about everything. How you treat the little things in your life is how you treat everything. It all translates. So, have pride in all the little things that you got to do to be successful.
No, exactly. And this might sound different, but making your bed or doing these daily habits where you write in a journal, making sure that you have these different routines that just translate to so many different areas of your life. Working out regularly, stuff like that. Like it just has no choice but to translate to your work, and that just compounds your growth, like you said.
So you come from a sports background. Can you share any lessons you learned in that area that has helped your business?
Yeah, I think collaboration is the biggest thing. So I look at a lot of the things that I'm doing as a collaboration and partnership, like you mentioned earlier, partnership. And, like my college team is my family, and like everyone had played their part. Yeah. So that's where I'm at right now, where it's like, as I'm working to grow, where can I get more teammates and bring them in and have us all align towards the common goal, which is like any sports team, right? Yeah. So I would say work ethic, and then also just this mentality of a collaboration and creating culture too. Like I don't have a team right now. I have people I contract out, but when the team is there, and as I'm working to grow one, we're all going to have these values that everyone's aligned with, and just trying to make everyone better.
Nice. And where are you learning right now? What you got any shout outs that for people who would want to learn some of the stuff that you're talking about?
Yeah, this podcast is not live anymore. It's called the Slow Hustle Podcast, but I actually my first client was I was a podcast producer in college, and the Slow Hustle Podcast, while I was producing that and listening to every single interview, like it shaped my mentality. And there's a lot of other podcasts out there as well. So we mentioned like Chase Jarvis, Gary Vaynerchuk's another one. He gets quite aggressive, but it's awesome.
Yeah, he's pretty hyped up all the time.
Pretty hyped up, take it in doses or whatever. But
yeah, I can only take little doses, to be honest. I respect him a hell of a lot, but just the way he talks, I'm like, I got too much stuff going in my head right now. I can't.
No, I hear you. I definitely know where you're coming from. I feel like that too. It's like, oh my God.
No disrespect, Gary V. I'm saying there's different strokes for different folks,
Exactly right. Exactly right. Tim Ferriss also. Yeah, he's awesome, his interviews. There's a great interview with Ray Dalio that he has on there.
Ooh, I'm reading Ray Dalio's book right now. It's like dude, it's game changing, dude. That book I resonate with so much of what he says. It's already been helping my business and outlook on life.
Has anything stood out in particular, like from that book?
Yeah. Radical open-mindedness. Just the idea that if you really want to be the best, you really have to be open to hearing facts from people, and then combining that with being able to identify if they're smart or not, if they actually have something to say that's valuable, and then applying that to your life without any bias towards yourself, and just that, just even that was like, I already feel that kind of way, but just hearing that is good to reinforce, and it helped crystallize it more,
For sure. And then the dude's a billionaire, and he's incredibly successful.
Really successful, yeah. He's speaking from experience. He's solved a lot of challenging problems in life, and he's influenced a lot of people, obviously. So, yeah, that's a good one. I definitely recommend.
I want to add to that too, because I feel like that's so important. And like for me, it's incredibly awesome to get excited about things, but there's also a practicality of truth you got to have.
Yeah.
So there's assessments that I don't personally do, like handwritten, but like I'll sit for a second and be like, wait, what's the reality of actually making this happen? Like, where am I lacking, and where can I get some help? And that's where I think what you just mentioned, and I can sense that you have that also, of the radical openness, open-mindedness.
Yeah, man, it's great talking to you. Let's see, what else do we have? Are there any other, who are some role models or people you look up to that you've along your journey?
My clients. Honestly, my clients. Like my clients, my parents, Jacob Owens and Casey Neistat are two people that I learned from and got inspired from when I was first starting. Casey's very, he taught himself. Yeah,
he's great. Yeah, he's a freaking rebel.
Rebel. Yeah, it's a great mentality. You can tell that he's disciplined. He puts in his work. So I would say, my clients, parents, Jacob Owens and Casey Neistat.
Dope. All right, so I want to thank you for your time, by the way.
Sure. Thanks for inviting me. Yeah.
We're gonna go into the lightning round, which is a brand new thing that it's you got to answer whatever comes to your mind first. Very easy though. Okay. All right. First one: surf or turf?
Surf.
King Kong or Donkey Kong?
King Kong.
Oh man. In-N-Out or Five Guys?
In-N-Out, no doubt.
Nice. Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat?
Oh, Street Fighter.
UFC or WWE?
UFC.
All right. Peanut butter and jelly. Crust or no crust?
Crust.
Square or triangle cut?
I'm going with square.
Cool. I like triangle cut. My mom always cut it square, and I always wanted her to cut it triangle, but I never said anything to her, But when I went to my friend's house and the other moms would cut it triangle, I'm like, this is so much better. But I didn't want to hurt her feelings,
Yeah, just trade in with your friends.
So I cut it myself triangle, but if she makes it, she cuts it. Anyways, favorite movie?
Favorite movie? Oh my gosh. Shawshank comes to mind.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be permanent, It's what favorite book?
Favorite book, The One Thing.
Nice. And lastly, favorite basketball player?
Favorite basketball player. Oh man, there's too many, man. I don't want to say the generic Steph Curry, Like I like IT Story, Isaiah Thomas.
So in the moment, then, who's your favorite player right now that's actively playing? Let's say.
Gotta say Steph.
Yeah, that's a true Bay Area boy right there. That's
true,
true Dubs fan right there.
Exactly, man. His story,
and he's also crazy. Good.
Yeah, exactly. And his underdog story too. Yeah. If you look back. Yeah,
true that. Cool. Dope, man. Well, Mike, thank you very much, man. That was super fun. That ends our interview, and I'm sure. Yeah. Oh, actually, lastly, where can people follow you, and how could they, stay up with you on your journey?
You can follow me on Instagram if you want, but just reach out. If you have a question or something, shoot me an email, michael@rezimedia.com.
Cool.
And
Instagram is Rezi Media?
Instagram is actually Crocker Video.
Crocker Video, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. We'll put it in the show notes.
For sure. Yeah. And hopefully, your audience got some value, and I definitely appreciate your question, man, and love what you guys are doing, because it's something I could have used when I first started.
Me too, man. I would have been so much more successful right now if I started like that. But anyways, appreciate it. Thank you. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, brother. Good to meet you.
Thanks for watching. Click on the subscribe button below and check us out at videographyacademy.com, where you're going to get the latest and greatest news, tips, and tricks on how to supercharge your videography business, make a lot of money, and also get paid to do what you love.